Hi, it's Dave Pylon of Pylon Arts and Entertainment. So I haven't done any new videos for 2 or 3 months now. I got behind on my YouTube, Twitch, the podcast, everything. I just kind of stopped doing any new media for a while for a variety of reasons. I got busy with life and I got stressed out and just had too much on my plate, too much going on. And I just also really didn't have a whole lot to talk about. I kind of ran out of topics and didn't have anything to review, no advice to give. I just kind of didn't know, what to do anymore. And I also just wasn't getting a lot of results, and I was getting frustrated with that I haven't gotten as many views or subscribers or anything like that as I would like. So this might be one of the few videos for a while. I'm going to try to do more videos and podcasting and all of that more regularly, since I have just slacked on it for a while. But I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to be as many as there have been in the past. But with all that said, I go ahead and move on to today's topic, which kind of was inspired by my thoughts and all that. It's something I meant to talk about before, and I thought I had done a video, but I guess I never got around to doing it. About the concept of managing your personal resources. And this is, it's kind of like budgeting, but it's, as opposed to we always talk about budgeting money, it's budgeting your time and your energy. And it's based on a particular method of doing that, which I heard about the first time when I read a self-help book by one author, and then I heard a different author discussing the same concept on a podcast. And the second time, it was a woman talking about how she dresses like business women on this concept and teaches it to them. But she was saying it could be applied to basically everybody. Because the first time I heard about it, I read it in a book that was more geared towards men's self-help type of thing. So this is a basic concept of you have a limited amount of time and energy which you can dedicate to anything, basically to life, anything, whatever. And you can break that down into units to get something quantitative, measurable, that you can say, okay, this is how much of my personal resources, of my personal time and energy that I'm using to dedicate to, whatever, and break it down to major groups like work, school, dating, family, so on and so forth. And there's basically 3 different ways of doing it, and they're all the same thing, but there are 3 different ways of looking at it or breaking it down. You can do either a 10-point system, or you can do 100 percentage points, or you can do 100 hours. So the last one, I think you should really do in combination with the others, because it's looking at time only. And if you want to just look at time only, then that's fine. But it's basically saying during any given week, you have approximately about 100 waking hours. That's your available time. And maybe it's more or less for some people. Maybe, you have 120 or you have 80 or whatever. But on average, you have about 100 hours that you're not asleep. That you can do whatever, work, school, life, whatever with that time. And so that works out really well, because that works out with the whole idea of 100%. So you can say, oh, it's a percentage, or it's your hours. You can see how time breaks down into that percentage, or you can break down the 100% into units of 10 to get 10 points. That's basically how you get the 10 points. You say, okay, each one of these points represents 1 unit of 10%. So those are the 3 different... Sorry, I've got the sun in the background there, sitting behind me, trying to put my head in the way. So that's basically 3 different ways that you can break it down to be able to measure how much of your energy and your time that you're using up. So I'll give some examples of how that works out. So let's say you're working full-time job. And that's probably at least 40 hours. But there's also extra time add on to that, like how much time are you on your lunch break, like 30 minutes to an hour? Are you commuting? That can be 15 minutes to an hour, both there and back, so that's like 30 minutes to 2 hours, and so on and so forth. Are you doing overtime? How much time does it take you to get ready in the morning? And so it ends up being that you're probably committing about 50 hours of your 100 hours that you have available to doing a job. It's the same thing with your energy, like how much energy you're expending. Maybe your job doesn't really take up that much of your energy, and it's only like 3 or 4 points, or 30 or 40% of what you have. Or maybe it takes up a lot, and you're very stressed out, and it's like you're losing like 60 or 70% of your personal resource, or 6 or 7 of your points to your job. So on average, when you add up time and energy, that's kind of like a more complicated way of looking at it. I make things a little bit complex sometimes, but it's supposed to be a simple, easy concept. But if you want to get like more accurate representation, if you want to add the time and energy together, do like the 100 hours, and then do the 100% and look at them as separate, and then add them together, divide them by 2. That's another way of looking at it, just to get an average that says, okay, it's exactly equal to this many points, if you want to look at it that way. You're going to wind up spending about 5 points, or 50%, or 50 hours, on average, somewhere around there, on a full-time job. So you have a full-time job, that's half of your personal resources. So then the question is, well, what do you do with the other half? Where does all that go? So that's everything else. So half of your time and your energy and all that is taken up by working a job, and then the other half has to go into everything else. So there's only so many things that you can fit into your life. And so you have to kind of prioritize and see, okay, what's the most important to me right now, where I'm at in my life right now? Where are my resources, my time, and my energy going? And it should be based on what's most important or not. So if your job and your career, that's what's most important, then maybe you're fine having 50% or greater, or 5 points or greater, or 50 hours or greater, however you want to break that down, going into your job, and having less to do for everything else for now. But if you have like all these other responsibilities, then you're not going to be able to do that, or at least you can't do it on your own. So both of these authors said something similar. They're talking about how, usually with young women, more so with them than young men, they get them coming in, talking to them, because they're involved in like self-help and therapy and all that. They get them, these people coming in, talking to them, saying, well, I'm working a full-time job, that's 50%. I'm going to school full-time, that's another 50%. Being a single parent, that's its own full-time job as far as I'm concerned. And I'm trying to date on top of all that, and I'm just tired, I have no energy, and I have no time, I'm stressed out, and they just don't understand why. And they're like, well, it's obvious you have too much on your plate. You are running at literally over 100%. You have taken up all your points, and then still gone beyond that. So when you're doing that for any extended period of time, it's going to burn you out, and you're going to need time to recover and recuperate from that, and just rest and not do all those things. And that's unfortunately what's happening to a lot of people, is they're basically going beyond their limit because they're trying to do more than they're capable of. So when it really comes down to it, you have to pick out, okay, I'm going to focus on these things, and basically everything else in your life has to be delegated to the other people around you. So you need family, you need community. I would argue, honestly, most of us need probably like a significant other, or spouse, or someone like that to help us. It's kind of in our nature as humans. So this whole idea of like you can have it all and you can be it all and do it all on your own is just a myth. You can't. You're not equipped to. You're not meant to. We're meant to have other people in our lives helping us carry some of that burden. And we're also kind of really just designed to be able to focus on like a few specific things. That's why I was saying you got to decide what those are for you in your life right now. It might not be this is permanently, where you're going to be. And that's basically like the next level, and what they were recommending is you can actually set a schedule for yourself. So this is the next step, is basically after you decide, okay, I have this many points to spend, and I have these things that I need to spend them on, and this is how much is getting consumed or eaten up. This is the priority where I'm arranging, okay, this is most important, so it's getting the most of my resource. And these other things are just like less important for now. After you reach that point, you next decide basically, well, this is for this time period. You do like a projection where you're saying, okay, I am focused on this thing in my life for this amount of time. And you always have the expectation that like that might change. Something unexpected might happen. You have to reorganize your priorities. But in general, once you set yourself on a path, that's basically where you're staying for that time period. If you're saying, okay, I'm going to be going to school for the next 4 years, or working at this job for the next 2 years, or whatever it is, then that's generally going to end up becoming like almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's just what you're doing. And so if that's the priority, that's where your energy is going for that time. But you have this recognition in the back of your head that it's not permanent. You're not quote-unquote stuck, because that's stressful in and of itself if you end up thinking, this is the rest of my entire life. You're going to go through changes, and you're going to have your priorities change and have new things that you're working towards later on. But when you set that goal that you say, okay, I have this much energy, this much time, I'm going to spend it on these things, I'm going to focus on these things, and I'm going to do that over this period of time, then basically you've established like a manageable pattern for yourself where you know where your resources are going. It's basically almost exactly the same as you would do with creating a budget for like if you were running your own business, or doing like your home budget for just like your microeconomics, taking care of your home. It's the exact same type of thing, except you're doing it for yourself, for your personal resources, your time and energy going into your life, as opposed to looking at money going into expenses. If that makes sense. So basically, that's the whole spiel. That's the idea. Is you've got 10 points, 100% or 100 hours, and then you break them down based on like how much is being eaten up by each. And so basically, if you don't have that support system, that's where people get stressed out. Really, if you're kind of like me, like where you're just like single, living on your own, and you have to kind of do it all for yourself. We're really not, as humans, meant to do that long term. We're just not designed to be solitary creatures like that. And so that's where people, get burned out and stressed out, is just trying to do more than what they're capable of, like I said, because you only have a limited amount of resource. But once you recognize that and you break it down like mathematically, you say, okay, I've got 100 hours in my week. What am I going to do with that 100 hours? I've got 10 points or 100% of my energy reserves. How does that get eaten up by things I do, experiences I have to go through? Then you can decide how to manage that exactly the same way as you would managing your money. And then you can do that over a longer period of time, like I said, and say, okay, I recognize where I'm at in life right now. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to continue doing for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. And then at that point, I'm going to expect to be in this different place in my life, or I'm going to be doing something else at that point. So basically, that's the whole concept in a nutshell. I know I rambled a little bit there, but I want to make sure I hit all the points. Thanks for watching. Like I said, it might be a while before I get the next review or advice or whatever I end up doing. I think I'm probably going to expand out and do some different videos, more in line with some of the other things that are going on in my life, with just all the things I've been busy with. But I'll get to that when I get there. And thanks for watching, and I hope you tune in next time.